What else was he wrong about? Lieutenant Otto Becker, a pilot shot down over Sicily, speaks up from his bunk. I flew against American aircraft for 4 months. I shot down 3 of them, but I saw hundreds, maybe thousands. They kept coming. When you shot one down, 2 more appeared. Our losses we could not replace. Theirs seemed infinite. That is not weakness. That is something we did not understand. The conversation continues late into the night, voices rising and falling, arguments building and collapsing. Some men cling to the propaganda framework because letting go means admitting that everything they fought for, everything they believed, might have been based on lies. Others, like Muller and Becker, are beginning the painful process of questioning, of allowing reality to intrude on ideology. I fall asleep that night with a headache, the kind of pain that comes not from physical injury, but from mental contradiction, from trying to hold 2 opposing ideas simultaneously. I have been taught my entire adult life that America is weak, degenerate, doomed to collapse under the weight of its own contradictions. But I am lying on a clean mattress in an air-conditioned barracks in a prison camp that seems better organized than many Wehrmacht bases, in a country that shows no signs of the collapse we were promised was imminent. Tomorrow, we begin work details. Tomorrow, we will see more of America, the real America beyond the fences of Camp Hood. Tomorrow, the education continues, and I suspect the contradictions will only intensify. I remember something my grandfather told me once, before the Nazis came to power, when he was still willing to speak freely. He had fought in the First World War, had been captured by the British in 1917, spent a year in a POW camp in Yorkshire. Klaus, he said, the hardest part of being a prisoner was not the confinement. It was discovering that the enemy we had been told were monsters were just men like us, and that perhaps we were fighting for the wrong reasons. The party later called my grandfather a defeatist. He stopped talking about the war, but I remember his words now, and I am beginning to understand what he meant. The propaganda promised us that America was weak. We are about to discover just how wrong that promise was, and the discovery will shatter more than just our expectations about prison conditions. It will shatter our understanding of the world.
The camps, humane treatment. Morning comes with a bugle call at 0600 hours, American military reveille that sounds somehow more cheerful than the harsh whistles and shouts that woke us in the Wehrmacht. I stumble out of my bunk, disoriented by the strange combination of military routine and unprecedented comfort, and join the general migration toward the washing facilities. The sun is already climbing in the Texas sky, promising another day of brutal heat, but inside our barracks, the electric fans have been running all night, and the temperature is merely uncomfortable rather than intolerable. The washing facilities are communal, but well maintained. There are actual sinks with running water, hot and cold. There are mirrors. There are shelves where we can store our toiletries, which we are issued. Soap, real soap, not the ersatz chemical blocks we used in the Wehrmacht. Toothbrushes, toothpaste, shaving cream, razors. An American corporal supervises the morning routine, ensuring order but not enforcing it through violence or intimidation. When Gefreiterd Zimmermann accidentally drops his razor and it clatters into the drain, the corporal simply retrieves it, rinses it, and hands it back without comment or punishment. This absence of casual brutality is perhaps the most disorienting aspect of captivity. I have spent 3 years in military service where physical punishment was routine, where officers and NCOs maintained discipline through fear, where a man could be struck for moving too slowly or answering incorrectly. Here, the American guards maintain order through structured routine and consistent rules, but I have not seen a single guard strike a prisoner. This is not mercy, this is procedure. The Americans treat humane detention not as a favor, but as a legal obligation under the Geneva Convention. Breakfast is served in a mess hall that holds perhaps 200 men at a time. We line up with metal trays, pass through a service line where American mess personnel, not prisoners, but actual U.S. Army cooks, serve us portions that seem impossibly generous. Scrambled eggs, made from real eggs, not powder, bacon, toast with butter and jam, fried potatoes, coffee with cream and sugar, fruit, actual fresh fruit, oranges that must have come from Florida or California, apples that are crisp and cold from refrigeration. I sit next to Mueller, the Bavarian farm boy, and we eat in silence for a few minutes, overwhelmed by food that is better than what we often received as soldiers in the Wehrmacht, supposedly winning the war. Around us, conversations are muted, the usual military breakfast noise subdued by confusion and cognitive dissonance. "This is better than my mother's cooking," Mueller finally says quietly, and then looks guilty for the admission. How can they feed prisoners like this when Germany is rationing everything?
Hauptmann Schneider, sitting across from us, overhears and leans forward. "This is Texas, America's breadbasket. They feed us well here because food is cheap. Wait until you see how civilian Germans are starving under Allied bombing. Wait until you understand the full cost of this war." But even Schneider's ideological certainty sounds strained this morning. He eats methodically, betraying no emotion, but I notice he cleans his plate completely. After breakfast, we assemble outside the barracks for work detail assignments. An American captain addresses us through Corporal Hoffman, the German-American interpreter. The captain is young, perhaps 30, with the casual confidence of a man who has never doubted his nation's superiority. He explains that Camp Hood houses approximately 3,000 German POWs across multiple compounds, that we will be assigned to various work details, both on the base and in surrounding communities, that we will be paid according to Geneva Convention guidelines, that we are expected to work diligently, but that we are not slaves. "The United States," he says through Hoffman's translation, "abides by international law regarding treatment of prisoners of war. You will be treated humanely, fed adequately, housed properly, and paid for your labor. We expect you to reciprocate by working effectively and following camp regulations. Any man who refuses work detail without medical excuse will be punished according to military justice, but punishment will consist of loss of privileges, not physical harm. Any man who attempts escape will be confined to the stockade, but will not be executed unless he uses violence during the attempt. These are the rules. They apply to all prisoners equally." The American obsession with rules, with formal procedures, with written regulations that apply universally rather than being subject to individual discretion, is something fundamentally different from German military culture. In the Wehrmacht, rules existed, but were interpreted differently based on rank, favoritism, and circumstance. Here, the Americans seem almost mechanically committed to treating all prisoners according to the same standards. It is impersonal, but it is also fair in a way I have rarely experienced. My first work assignment is agricultural labor, specifically cotton harvesting on farms surrounding Camp Hood. 40 of us are loaded onto trucks, given wide-brimmed hats to protect against the sun, and driven 20 miles to a large farm owned by a man named Henderson. The landscape rolls past the truck windows, vast expanses of agricultural land, with occasional farmhouses, silos, barns, all looking prosperous and well-maintained despite the war. I see tractors in every field, mechanical harvesters, irrigation systems. This is not subsistence farming. This is industrial agriculture. Mr. Henderson is a weathered man in his 60s, wearing denim overalls and a straw hat, looking exactly like the American farmer propaganda back in Germany portrayed, except he is neither stupid nor poor. He addresses us through Corporal Hoffman with a directness that is somehow both friendly and authoritative. "Gentlemen, we're harvesting cotton today. It's hard work, hot work, but it's honest work. You'll be paid the same rate we pay local laborers, 80 cents per day, converted to script you can use at your camp canteen. I expect a full day's effort, but I'm not a